Hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my prediction for the Tszyu versus Joseph Spencer fight. And so if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So this is a all or nothing type fight for Tszyu. Tszyu was riding very high at one point in his career. Obviously, he beat Brian Mendoza. He worked very, very hard to get to a world champion position where he was signed with PBC and he was able to fight out in America. And you got to give him full credit for the amount of work that he put in, the amount of top names in which he beat. I mean, even early on in his career, Jeff Horn was a name in which he beat early on, and then, Tony Harrison, amongst other names in which he was able to beat. He definitely hasn't ever taken the easy route in his career, but he of course had to kind of go out of his dad's shadow to be able to do so. He probably did have to take the harder routes in some of the fights, but he's lived up to the occasion on most times until recent, where obviously he fought Fundora for the world titles, and it was a fight in which people were thinking, I think Tszyu was the favourite for the fight, but there was a bad head clash or, collision, and Tszyu's head, if nobody has seen, was bleeding everywhere. It was gruesome, it was grotesque, it was making it clearly difficult for Tszyu to be able to see what he was doing, but he battled through and still put on a very valiant effort, and everybody was expecting there to be a rematch. The rematch was ordered, it then was seemingly set to happen, but then the doctors came in and said Tszyu can't fight until a particular time. Then it seemed like other things got involved. Fedora was linked to fight Crawford, he was linked to fight Spence Jr., and he seemed to kind of forget about Tszyu, and then Tszyu was like, I'll go down a different route. Maybe I'll go test against one of the, on paper, easier champions. So that was Murtazaliev for the IBF belt. Murtazaliev had only beaten Jack Kulke for the vacant belt. So on paper, he was there for the taking, I suppose, and was there and was seen as an easier champion to beat. He then went to fight him, got knocked out in round 3. It was a performance in which pretty much every shot that Murtazaliev landed, consistently, that left hook especially, was damaging, was hurting, and was knocking him down. He got knocked down on multiple occasions. His legs looked out of him continuously, and even though he was coming forwards, he was just getting caught with the same shot and getting dropped. And it was quite a sad performance to see, to be completely honest, because that's not the Tszyu in which we know. We normally know Tszyu as somebody who can be rough and rugged with any fighter and be able to withstand a lot of punishment and be able to dish out his own, and often is in great war type fights, but isn't just getting knocked down with just the first punch. Perhaps that can create the argument in which we've seen with loads of fighters where you can say, oh, their chin's gone. I don't necessarily know if that's the case with Tszyu. I feel like this fight will definitely answer that, because somebody in a Joseph Spencer is not particularly known for his power. I mean, he has gotten some good statement knockouts in his career. I say statement, I mean kind of nice on the eye type of knockouts in his career, where often they were early on. And, they were often early on in his career as well. I mean, if you look at the knockouts, any kind of step up in which he has taken, he hasn't been able to knock the guy out. He's got one loss on his record, that being against Ramos Jr. And, the way that Ramos Jr. is performing and fighting at the moment, there's no kind of discredit to losing to him, but still, he was trying to stand toe-to-toe with him, and he struggled, and he got knocked out, and it was he didn't get knocked out, his team threw in the towel, because it was quite a tough performance to watch, because he was getting beaten up quite badly, and it seemed like Ramos was able to have any kind of success in which he wanted in close. And so it just perhaps is a good matchup for Tszyu this fight. I feel like it's definitely going to be a stand and bang type contest, but it's also definitely going to answer the questions of if Tszyu still has the same kind of chin. If he is able to withstand the punches of Joseph Spencer, I think we could possibly see the old kind of Tszyu come back. But if he can't withstand the punches of somebody who, like I say, any time in which he's had somewhat of a step up, hasn't been able to knock out an opponent, it's not going to look good for him, and perhaps even could be a retirement fight for him. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, maybe it could even take him down back into the welterweight division. Maybe he might need to move down in the division. I feel like it will answer a lot of questions this fight, and it's definitely a needed fight. And so I think that Tszyu is going to be able to win via TKO in round 6. I think it's going to be the vintage type of Tszyu back where we can see him take a shot and we're going to see him come forwards, but Joseph Spencer is probably going to make the mistake of standing and banging with him. He's probably going to be coming into this fight confident because of what he's just seen from Tszyu. And I just think Tszyu isn't like that normally. I think that was just a very poor night for him, and Murtazaliev was able to find something that worked and keep going with it. And I also think Murtazaliev has a level of underestimated type power, not seen prior to the performances, but it also is very good power at the same time. But I do think Tszyu is going to be able to recover, get back to it, and get this TKO in round 6. I think he's been quite quick to make a return, about 6-7 months. When you've been knocked out badly, and also before that had the fight in which he had versus Fundora, it wouldn't have surprised me if he had even longer off, and maybe that could have been a smarter thing for him to do. But it's definitely going to answer the questions. Again, if it was that a smart thing to do to be coming back, should he have had even longer off? I'm not entirely sure. But, like I say, this fight will definitely answer it. It's definitely an interesting contest. But if he is able to win, like I say, and win by a stoppage, I think it will definitely propel his career back. I think he's still a great name and is still a name in which can be around the world title contention, and I think could easily get back put in that contention again because he's still a great name, like I've said. So a Fundora rematch, I feel like definitely still could be there. The one blimp with the loss versus Murtazaliev won't push him out, I believe. And now that Fundora isn't going to be fighting a Spence Jr. and isn't going to be fighting a Crawford, he's probably looking for a matchup, and he probably would prefer the rematch in the way of making more money than fighting Sander Zayas, who he's been ordered to fight. So that could be a good fight for the WBO and WBC belts. Otherwise, something like a Ramos could be a good fight. Ramos, like I say, he's fought twice this year already and has fought in just a couple of months and put on 2 excellent performances, and he's a really entertaining style. And I feel like if we can get the old kind of Tszyu back, we could get a really, really great dust up between the two of them. That would be a great fight. Or Lubin versus Holmes Jr. I believe their fight has been ordered to be final eliminator for the WBC belt. I might be wrong of which belt exactly, but that could be a good fight to make the winner of to fight something like a Tszyu if they aren't able to get the shot straight away at the world title. Maybe that could happen. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you did, like the video. Subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.